So we're getting ready to work on the M18 again. Still over there in the bag. But my plan is to get this whole front section of frame done up to right about the posts on the footrests here. So I'm not going to pull the whole thing apart and completely restore the frame, but I am going to get as much of it as I can without removing everything. So this morning I went through here and they had cut holes in the frame here and then tacked in like a chunk of rectangular steel with a hole in it. And over here they had burned out a hole. So filled in the hole, welded it on both sides, and then from the factory there's a weld right here and there's a weld up here between here and here. So what I did is I just ran the whole seam up from here to here, so that whole corner was burned in, and did the same thing over here. Then the engine cradle had some wear where the engine sits in these areas here. So I welded those and ground them flush. I had some weld nuts that had popped out here. These really tiny welds to weld the nuts in, like they're spot welded, I think. So I added in an extra bead on each weld nut to hold it in place. And then in addition to that, more little stuff. Stuff that doesn't really feel like progress, but it is. This is the screen that goes up underneath there, in that pocket down in here. Goes underneath the frame. This was broken into 3 pieces. So this section here had broken off. I welded that back on. This section here had broken off. So I welded that back on. Banged it back so it's straight again-ish. So now we've got that screen repaired. And this is the other section of screen. So the way it lays in the tractor is kind of like, it lays in there like this. So it goes around, like right there is where the steering box is. Right there and right there is where the lift arms move up and down in the frame. Not a critical piece, but you know, worth saving. Real fun to try to weld these together. Man, I have the smallest wire I can possibly run on my spool, and it still took quite a while. So now these will all be prepped and painted. And then the next step is going to be, I'm going to slide the axle out and then get up underneath and clean the frame sections that I wasn't able to get to from the top down. You can see there's fresh paint here, but I want to get everything clean up underneath, back up to the footrest area, and then paint the underside, paint underneath the axle pivot there. The engine, or the battery tray, is just about on its last coat of paint. So, one more coat on the back side here and she'll be ready to go back in. And we'll paint all that stuff so the engine bay will be ready for the engine to be installed. And I want this paint to have a long time to cure before I do anything with it, because it's cold now. It's getting into the 30s at night, and it's going to take a while for this paint to cure. So yeah, just wanted to give you a quick little update on what's going on with the 1882. A lot of the time has been spent working on these 2000 series boys here, and then that one out there, and the other one under the tarp. So we're back on it.